Today I'm going to install a WaterMate in my new polytunnel. So I'm going to take you along the way and I will show you some of the steps.
When you open the box, you might seem daunted by all the kit, but the system itself is actually really simple to install. It's easy if you have like a piece of wood or a mounting board, and you simply can just screw your components on the board, laid out with space for connections and wires. So if I break it down for you, here you have the control panel that controls the system, and I've just put holes to go through, and that connects to all your different connectors. Your pump screws down the bottom, and this cable here goes outside into a tank. It can also be mains water fed. Here then you just come out of the outlet of the pump, and I've split that off to my separate zone. So that's the zone that comes with the WaterMate standard, and this is an extra zone that can be purchased. So simply here I've literally just used the braided hose that you get, and I've connected that, and I've used Jubilee clips on these connections because they're a bit more high pressure directly out the pump. And I've just gone out with a T-splitter, and I've used my hose to connect to these, and then the LDPE pipe then goes around for the irrigation pipe.
When you're installing your WaterMate, one of the first things you'll want to do is mount the main components of your system somewhere. I've chosen a piece of wood that I will screw into my polytunnel. I highly recommend thinking about which way your valves might need to point, which way your pump is going to have the water source coming from before you go ahead and screw things down. Because as you can see here, I did actually change the orientation after thinking for a while because I decided it would be better that my valves point sideways rather than up and down. It will be different for everybody. So now that the system is laid out and I know what I'm doing, you can just go ahead and screw things down. So I'll take this latching valve bracket, which comes in your latching valves fixings kit, and I'll screw that where I want. The pump has 4 feet and you can screw those into something. And there are 2 connections for the control unit where you flip up the little covers and you can put screws in. I drilled holes in the board so that I can tuck all my cables away neatly behind. It's very easy to see which plug goes into what port on the control unit as they are all labelled. So the next step for me is getting the solar panel rigged up. I've just put it on a piece of wood so it's slightly elevated above the polytunnel. Then you can just go ahead and install your LDPE irrigation pipe, usually on either side. We do supply a polytunnel pipe fixings pack, but I just use zip ties as I have a rigid frame polytunnel.
So I'll use this opportunity to show you guys how to connect emitters, sprayers, drippers, whatever it may be, to your system. So this is a really simple part, but I might as well show you whilst I'm doing it. I've got some hot water because it really helps to soften the end of the pipe. It makes the whole process a lot easier. So you cut your desired length of irrigation pipe, micro irrigation hose. So for example, I want that to run from the pipe down with a bit of a kink and onto the bed. So we'll cut that around here, and then I will dip my hose pipe into the water just to soften the end. It's easier if you only soften just the tip, because if you soften too far down it starts to bend as you put it on. So just the end that needs to go onto your connection. That slides on nice and easily. And then all you want to do is take your hose joiner on the other end of the cable. And these are actually self hole punch hose joiners. And then I just want to pop it into the pipe like that. And then that will run down here on the other side. And I will simply put that in somewhere around here.
So after the system is fully installed, I'm going to test one of my zones just to see if it all works. Don't worry if it takes a few minutes for the water to come out the first time. The water just has to fully get through the system. And here you can see we have great spray. Everything has worked perfectly and we now have an automated polytunnel.